Back in 2024, it felt like if you could write a decent prompt, you could build a business. The AI gold rush was in full swing. But now, as we're looking ahead to 2026, the market's starting to ask a much, much tougher question. What did you actually build? There's a huge shift happening under our feet, and honestly, it's going to decide who's still standing in the next wave of AI. Okay, let's just stop and really look at this. That's a direct warning from Darren Mowry, a VP at Google. And look, this isn't just some random opinion from a blog post. It's a forecast coming from inside one of the biggest AI labs on the planet. He's basically saying that a huge chunk of the AI startups out there are built on a foundation that's about to just crumble. The stakes really couldn't be any higher. And that really brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. The novelty phase, it's done. It's officially over. That mad dash to build something, anything with AI, is giving way to a totally new era. An era where the real value isn't just about saying you use AI, but about building a real, lasting, defensible business around it. Welcome to the infrastructure era. Now, to really get a handle on this shift, we've got to start with the problem that so many companies are facing right now, and that's what we're calling the thin IP trap. Believe me, it is a very dangerous place to be. So, what is this business model that's so at risk? It's the LLM wrapper. Think of it like this. You build a really nice-looking storefront, but the entire factory in the back, well, that belongs to someone else, like OpenAI or Google. You're really just putting a slick user interface on top of their incredibly powerful model, but you're not adding any unique, hard-to-copy value of your own. And here's where it gets really scary: the black hole effect. The foundational models themselves are just getting more and more powerful all the time. I mean, think about it. If your entire business is built on summarizing PDFs, what happens when OpenAI just adds a "summarize this" button to their core product? Your business, it just vanishes overnight. It gets completely sucked into the platform you depend on. The craziest thing about all this is that we have seen this movie before. Seriously, go back to 2010. There were tons of startups whose whole business was just reselling Amazon Web Services and making it a bit easier to use. But what happened when Amazon built its own user-friendly enterprise tools? Poof, most of them got wiped out. The thin AI startups of today are the AWS resellers of yesterday. It's the same pattern all over again. And this all boils down to the commodity trap. If your only value is making AI easier to use, what you're really doing is building your entire business on rented land. And you are completely 100% at the mercy of your landlord. So when that landlord, the AI lab, decides to renovate by shipping a new feature, your business can get demolished without any warning at all. Okay, so that's the problem. And yeah, it's a big one. But let's pivot now, because it's not all doom and gloom. Let's talk about the solution. If a thin wrapper is a trap, how do you build something that actually lasts? Well, the answer is you have to build a deep, defensible moat. This visual right here, this perfectly lays out the entire strategic shift we're talking about. See, over on the left, you've got the dead zone. That's the thin wrapper built on that rented land we just mentioned. It's totally exposed, totally vulnerable. The only way forward is to get across that bridge to the deep moat on the right. This is where you build a real business on assets you actually own, things like your own proprietary data, deep workflow integration, and specializing in one specific industry. Let's break this down even more. I mean, just look at the difference when you put them side by side. The thin moat on the left, it's just an API call. You can build it in a weekend, but it can be killed by a single OpenAI update. The relationship with your customer is purely transactional. They use it once and leave. Now look at the deep moat. It uses proprietary data. It takes years of real industry expertise to build. It's defensible, and it gets so deeply embedded in a customer's daily work that they can't imagine living without it. It's a night and day difference. So you're probably wondering, okay, how do I actually build one of these things? Well, it really comes down to these 4 pillars of a defensible AI moat. Number 1, proprietary data. You've got information the big models have never seen before. Number 2, workflow integration. You become an absolutely essential part of how a business gets its work done. Number 3, vertical specialization. You become the undisputed expert in one specific niche. And number 4, operational expertise. This is the unsexy but critical stuff: security, compliance, DevOps. And if you only remember one thing from this whole explainer, please let it be this. The models themselves are becoming infrastructure. They're like electricity. The real lasting advantage doesn't come from having electricity, it comes from what you do with it. It comes from the context, your unique data, your customer's workflow, your deep industry knowledge. That is the competitive advantage. Okay, so that's all the theory. But who's actually out there doing this? Who's putting this into practice right now? Let's take a look at some of the companies that are already building the kinds of deep moats that are going to define the winners of 2026. Well, you've got your vertical specialists like Harvey AI. They aren't just some generic AI for lawyers. No, they are deeply plugged into legal workflows, handling the kind of complex compliance issues that a general model would totally mess up. Then you have workflow reinventors like Cursor. It's not just another feature, it's a whole new environment for developers to live in. And finally, look at the deep problem solvers. Companies like Glean or Abnormal Security. They're using AI to tackle huge enterprise problems like knowledge search and cybersecurity, problems that you just can't solve with a simple chat box. That's how they're building lasting value. You see, when you strip everything else away, this all comes down to a really fundamental shift in mindset. You have to stop thinking like you're just a temporary renter and start acting like a permanent owner of your own value. I really want to leave you with this line that's been making the rounds in the tech community because it just hits so hard. Read it carefully. If your entire company's value can be erased by a single software update from another company, you don't have a defensible business. You don't have a moat. You have a critical existential exposure. So this brings the question right back to you, whether you're a founder, an investor, or you're working at one of these companies. Ask yourself this, honestly. What is our hard-to-clone feature? What is the one thing we do that somebody else couldn't just replicate in a weekend if they had a bigger budget? Whatever that is, that's the seed of your moat. Because let's be crystal clear about this. The easy days, the gold rush, they're over. The era of the simple wrapper is dead. Now the real work begins. This is the era of the builder, the specialist, the integrator. Long live the era of the owner.